Let's go. Let's go. We're doing it. The Promised Neverland, 2019, season 1. How's it going, guys?
Sorry I'm late, everybody. It wasn't intentional.
What's going on, guys?
I just finished the last episode like 2 hours ago.
Did you do both seasons or no?
Fuck no. We're not
The
even.
sec the second
Okay.
season isn't necessary. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's got the Death Note thing where it's like the demand was there, so they made it, but it kind of falls off.
Yeah, I kind of read up on this like before and as I was watching it, and it said to like not watch it. So I didn't. It jumped the shark, but I really liked it, man. This was kind of me breaking my anime cherry, as it were. And I could definitely see why you chose to want to talk about this. And I got a lot to say about it myself. So I guess first thing I always like to ask, like Thomas, it's because he's always extreme one way or the other. So like, what did you think, yay or nay?
Uh, Bro, I'm a little ticked off because I watched the first like half or more with subtitles versus dub. So I really didn't like enjoy the whole reading subtitles, and I don't like having to watch films where there isn't English or whatever. I don't like to watch 3D. Anything where you have to like zero in and just keep your eye on the screen the whole time, it fucking drives me insane. But then I switched over to the dub. I didn't realize they had the dub version and the sub version, so that made it a lot more enjoyable. But it was a great storytelling. Um, great, just a great, really a just well done storytelling.
So I want to speak to that really quick before Decline picks up. But I recently watched Solaris, right? And that's a Russian movie, very famous film. And it's like over 3 hours subtitled. So I was kind of primed for this. I watched the whole thing subtitled even after I realized there was like dubbed. I kind of just stuck it out because to me, it's a testament to like the amount of brain damage that I have from like cell phone addiction and ADHD. Like, if I can't keep my eyes glued to media. Like I literally need two forms of media going at once. I have to use my phone while I'm watching anime. My brain's fucked. Like that's a big problem. So it's almost like I had to test myself. A lot of people can't even do that anymore. It's like they need like three screens at once or they go fucking mental.
Western Decline. Can you explain to me the appeal of anime? Why do like black people and white women and everyone in between? Why do they watch this shit?
I don't. I think uh, women do it because it became trendy. Women really didn't do it prior to that. Women watch anime for the same reason they play fucking video games now. It got popular with guys, and now women just emulate whatever's popular with men. So, I'm gonna make this character from this anime my personality. I'm gonna emulate it, and I'm going to like kind of catfish gamer girl all the guys that are attracted to this particular character. And I think that's 99% of it. Black guys, I think black guys watch it for pretty much the same reason any other race of guys do, where it's with anime compared to like Western media in general, it actually makes a world that you want to escape into. Like that's increasingly rare with Western anime, Western media in general. Like I can't remember the last time I watched something was like, yeah, I want to be there. Like that world's so much better than this one.
So yeah, I've given anime a lot of tries on and off over the years. And it's very hard to get into, but I like that the stories are very creative and a lot of them are really dark and like melancholy, which I like that kind of thing, right? And so this was like a very intense show, and I liked it. Sometimes I get thrown off just by the nature of like the animations themselves, but I think if I could train myself out of that, there's a lot of animes I would like to sit down and watch for sure. But yeah, what did you guys think about the demographics? Like I think that Japan, obviously, they depict things more in like a based kind of way with the race, and I want to get into that. Obviously, the main character and the second to main antagonist in the show, and
Yeah, they didn't draw the black antagonist, the stepmother, as in a flattering way. Like they made her like intentionally hilarious and terrifying at the same time.
is this typical of animes in general, or was that kind of unique to this show? Because that
Uh,
black woman was like, she was depicted as like the most cartoonishly, like a Zambo the whole
yeah,
time.
it's pretty common. Like if you watch there's like an iconic moment from Legends of the Galactic Hero where there's like two factions. It's basically like World War II in space where you have like the Axis and the Allies, and the Allies like hero fleet captain, even the Allies, right, like the good guys that are built of all races, gets on the ship that he's going to be piloting, and there's a random kind of Sambo looking black guy standing there, and he turns to his like second in command and says, "What's that?"
Even one of the people, because I watched some videos too, not just the show itself, but I watched some other YouTubers going over it, and they were all like these libtards that had to preface. The guy's like, yeah, this is like very racist, but we're going to give the benefit of the doubt to these animators. Like maybe they're just not quite aware of like the kind of stereotypes that they're projecting in these shows. And the main character too, by contrast, he was like right away in the first scene, he's established as like the smartest kid in the class. He's like the envy of all these like brown darker people, and this guy's almost albino. Like he's got these bright blue eyes, blonde hair. He's like the whitest person in the whole class, and he's like they all revere him as the having the highest IQ.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's worlds you actually want to go to. I don't want to go to the worlds that I see depicted in my own media. I'd almost be willing, like if I was playing kind of Russian roulette with like anime worlds, and I just get teleported into one of them. Like odds are I'd end up somewhere I'd enjoy a hell of a lot better than here.
Well, it's almost the complete inverse of like Western woke media depictions, where you have like these kind of Ghostbusters screenwriting, like these black women that are just completely intellectually mogging all these like dumb white guys. But in these Japanese animes, from the little bit that I've seen, it seems the complete inverse, almost to like an equally exaggeratory extent, but on the other side, which I'm not complaining about. Like I found it fucking hilarious when they introduced that big black woman in the show, and she's like 7 feet tall, she's like towering over everyone, bulging eyes, like
I think the main thing, if I could, in one point, why I prefer it is that in anime, male protagonists are allowed to be capable. Like you're not always the incompetent depicted as the fool that needs to be like led by a woman and all this other shit. Like it's not like explicitly anti-male the whole time.
yeah, this show it touched on pretty much everything. Like that's just one aspect of it that we could go more into, but there's a lot of like again, I see why you chose this because it's almost like an inexhaustible well of different kind of things going on, like a lot of Pizzagate themes in here. I
Yeah.
don't know could you speak to like how popular this is? Like, would anybody who's watching this stream
I
have seen
I
this? Or
yeah, some people have, but like personally, I hadn't heard about this until I came across it in like a Pizzagate discussion a couple years ago. Somebody just said in a 4chan thread, like, go watch this. Like looked it up and read the plot, and I immediately was like, oh, okay, so that's why they suggested this. But I don't think it achieved, at least in the West, like any kind of critical acclaim.
Yeah, a lot of and I don't know, like obviously there's gonna be spoilers for this, but I think that I get thrown off, and if I'm not used to watching anime, by how like jolly and upbeat everything looks in its presentation, its visual and auditory presentation, but then the actual like subject matter of it is so fucking grim and intense, right? Like the very first episode, they find the body of this little girl like slumped in the back of a truck, and they find out basically that
They
all
can't
these
trust. They can't trust their mother either. Like
yeah.
it's. She told them not to go to the gate, and it's like, well, now you know why. It wasn't because, like, it's, it wasn't the whatever reason she was giving it to you. It's because those people you think have been leaving the farm are being killed.
Yep. And
I kind of appreciate this type of present. Just it's not the jump scare stuff. They don't like obsess with the demons and all the scary stuff. But the anticipation and the way that it's paced, the pacing of the film and the show.
Yeah, the scary
It's
thing
brilliant.
isn't even the demons. The scary thing is that the actual like monsters are the women that have been like co-opted into participating in this. Because this whole thing, like the whole mechanism of, we like feeding off of the smartest children as demons wouldn't be possible without the mothers nurturing them like into that big right brain for them to eat.
then as it goes on too, you come to find that these women were basically people that themselves were once kept at these orphanages, which were just cannibal farms essentially, and they opted to become like traders or whatever, the people that would groom more or less. And so it creates a bit of a conundrum. And I talked about this like maybe a year ago on my channel, how because I was in this phase where I'd watch that channel Predator Poachers a lot, just kind of like mindless entertainment. And you realize like all these guys that are grooming, they're trying to meet these people, but almost without exception were victims themselves, right? And so it's this weird conundrum that you feel bad for them, but at the same time, it's like you got to hang, right? And this is the same situation with them. So inevitably, you come to the conclusion that in order to stop these things, you basically have to rip the thing out at the roots. You can't just address it after the fact. And I liked that spin that they put on it. I didn't really anticipate that either.
It hit a lot of notes for me. I think my favorite things from it were that this is going to sound like a boisterous or whatever, but I feel like my whole experience in school was very similar to this, where you're kind of the smart boy in the class, and the school marm teachers are like constantly wanting to keep tabs on you, but at the same time, like not not even that rarely getting like outwitted, and it's like a blow to their ego. We never see that depicted. We see the opposite. What do we get in the news in the West? We get like random brownoid mutt baby is the second in their family to have an IQ rivaling Einstein's. That's what we get in the West. And then what do you get in Japanese anime? It's like a 9-year-old genius boy outsmarts a conniving evil mother. So it's just a lot more appealing to me. And it wasn't just that character. You see the like the male female dynamic throughout this show, where the only male character that I really hated was the kind of tall, like athletic one that wasn't that bright. He took so much convincing to be made to believe that anything was going on. He came around eventually, but like it's the 1984 situation too. Like who ends up being the spy for the mother against the children? It's like this fucking like dork girl. Yeah, like the goody two shoes, the teacher's pet kind of person that's gonna cry bully and snitch on your friends to authority.
Yeah, I like too. It showed right away from the onset that there was almost like the universe had a way of punishing people with higher intelligence yet again, right? And it was that these kids' intelligence correlates to having a larger brain, which they took for granted, which is true, but we don't talk about that in our media. That's like debunked. That's been debunked for hundreds of years or whatever. But they were still operating under the notions of like scientific racism and stuff. And I guess in Japan, they just take that for granted.
Well, they never had to do away with it because up until recently, like they were basically still an ethno state, even if they were occupied by the United States. It's not when you're all the same group of people, you can have these kind of honest statements in society because it doesn't offend these like interloping outgroups. You can say that there are racial differences in intelligence because you're all the same race. It doesn't put one citizen above another to make that statement. Whereas it's like highly taboo in our areas because now, even if you're not necessarily at the top of it yourself, somebody is at the bottom and they're not going to like that being like a stated thing.
Yeah, and just going back to that tall character who was like impossible to convince that this whole thing was going on. It's odd when you meet people like this in real life. I never quite understood what to make of it. I think it would only make sense if it would somehow maybe protect or shield you from what's inevitably to come. But like, it's almost like if you're going to get stomped out, it doesn't even make sense not to fight back at a certain point. This was kind of the whole point of like Siege, not to like pull up my Wignat card, but like his whole thing was that eventually when like the white race got backed into such a corner, it wouldn't even make sense anymore to like not fight back because you'd already be getting like the beating you were scared of regardless. So like self-preservation doesn't matter anymore. You're like being killed. But that does not prove to be the case really. It seems like people will just kind of delude themselves and not, I can't make any rational sense of this, but
I think a lot of it is like an imprisoned mind sort of thing. I'd liken it to, so if you've ever seen a demonstration of, for example, an elephant that has lived with the circus its whole life, okay? When the elephant is young, they'll put like a chain around its neck and they will drive a stake into the ground and it'll be pinned to the stake and it won't be able to pull it out of the ground. And because it grows up with this and it exhausted itself trying to pull the stake out of the ground, that same stake will then hold a fully grown elephant that could easily rip it out of the ground, but it just doesn't even try because of how its brain was like buck broken as a child. And I
horrifying.
yeah, and I think that's how it goes with a lot of people. You grow up, you spend you have a mother that tells you, no, no punching, no fighting, no, 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 none of that. Parents, a criticism that has really been welling up in me lately is lazy parenting. And I think that a lot of the altruism that whites have comes from lazy parenting, where instead of raising your child to be successful in a society that rewards Machiavellianism, you instead raise your child to be easy for you to parent. So you instill in them honesty and hard work and all of these other things so that you never have to deal with the struggle of your child lying and deceiving you and refusing to do tasks that you assign it.
Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense. Say someone's gonna beat your ass, right? And you're scared. You don't want to incur any damage or whatever, and so you're trying any means that you can to avoid this having this happen. But once the person is already the onslaught has like begun, you're being beaten up, and you know that surrender isn't an option either. Like they're not going to accept a surrender or a tap out. Like their goal is your demise. It's your destruction. It almost doesn't. It seems to defy like logic and rationale to not just start swinging back at that point. But people don't. They just somehow they're still afraid or something. And this guy like exampled that in the show really well.
I think it is also a case of if you never like they live in a very peaceful kind of serene like tranquil environment where there's no violence, the kids don't fight, they're all friends and everything else. You almost want to have that experience when you're a kid in the same way that a lot of people that have like peanut allergies and all this other shit, it's theorized that it's because they lived in an environment that was too sanitized. Their body didn't develop being exposed to irritants properly, and now they have like weaknesses to like common things. um I think that it's very similar with violence, where if you're not exposed to even kind of having your bell rung as a kid. It doesn't necessarily have to come from fighting. It could come from like anything, right? Like you crash into something on your bicycle, or you fall off your skateboard, or you jump off the swing and hurt yourself, or
You guys
whatever.
ever have the wind knocked out of you?
Yeah, well, like, yeah,
Fuck,
that's
man.
the first time it happens. It's so scary, right? And then the
Fucking
next,
scary, bro. I
the
thought I was
the
gonna
next,
die.
yeah, but the next time it happens, you're like, oh, it's just that thing again. You're not as panicked, and it's the same thing with violence, where people aren't afraid of violence, they're afraid of feeling the pain that violence inflicts on you. And if you've ever like injured yourself or you get in an actual fight, the thing that you realize is that the pain always comes after, and it's never really as bad as you would think it would be. Like you don't feel really any of it in the moment. And if you're in a situation where it's as serious as this, where you're just going to be like dead, like you're not going to feel anything. So you may as well do everything you can to make sure that you don't die. Like your body is trying to help you. Your body like shuts off your pain with adrenaline. It wants you to fight back. It's designed, or it evolved that way to help you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that don't touch grass now, they're not going to see that. It's a good point. Like this put me in mind of something that happened when I was young. We were going down a big hill, laying down on our skateboards, and a friend of mine hit the guardrail and it cracked his skull open. And he was covered in blood. And this is back when there weren't any cell phones. So I had to walk with him maybe 5, 6 blocks to his house to get his dad. And there was a kid from another school. I didn't really know him, but we'd seen him around. He went to the Catholic school and he was sitting at the park and he pointed and laughed as like this guy walked by with his head just covered in blood. And a couple of weeks later, we were out on our bikes and he seen that kid and he beat the fuck out of him. Like
Good.
he smashed his face in. And like even little things like that, right? When you're young, I guess you can't inflict too much violence because you have like little limbs and stuff, but we seen it enough, and I bet people lack it nowadays. It fucks with their psyche to be like totally glib and ignorant to the reality of that.
There is something special, guys, about anime. I've seen a couple now, a handful, like 3 or 4 or whatever. And it's like wholesome, and it also like kind of hits all the notes with like the different. It's not like gruesome. It's not fart jokes and like Jewish comedy. It's it's just kind of well rounded, and and old people and young people can watch it, and it's just it's a good storytelling. It's well done. That's what I can say about it. It's not it's kind of for an I hate to say this, but it's kind of just for like anyone can enjoy it, you know.
Well, there's people that can't enjoy it, right? Who are the people that hate anime? The people that hate anime are women that don't like seeing purity in other women valued. Those women hate anime and they insist that it's like pedophilic. Okay? Like this show that we're discussing tonight, it's not sexualized at all. Okay? And yet I think that it's very appropriate. Like I don't feel embarrassed or whatever watching this as an adult. But if you just showed people like the thumbnail that we have for the video today, people would wonder like what interest you could possibly have in this as a grown man. It would come across as juvenile at best, sus at worst. And yet
That's a good point. That's a good point.
the subject matter is what it is. I think for a lot of people that's why they get gate capped at like, oh, I know I only watch Dragon Ball Z and Baki Hanma. You know what I mean? Like those are the only ones that they feel like that they can avoid stigma watching because it doesn't adhere to the uh
That is a good point, Western Decline, where it's like we're grown men watching a cartoon about 8, 9, and 12-year-olds. Like that's sort of weird. And the
mhm.
fact that people consume this regularly and it's normalized is a little weird. Yeah, it's kind of fucking crazy actually.
I think the other thing that goes on with anime is I remember when I was a child, I thought that I was ready to be an adult the whole time. Like I wanted to grow up. I was in a rush to be put in like adult situations and anime doesn't infantilize children. It depicts them not as stupid, just as people that don't have experience. And Japanese like lifestyle is the same thing. You know, you see it in their media. They'll send a kid to walk like a very young children a mile to go to the store and buy them something. Like they'll just send them on an errand. They have a lot more trust in their children than we have anymore. I think that that was one of the things that was so appealing about Pokemon. I think that that's why it took off like wildfire amongst youth all over the world because your age is like a non-factor. You're a child in Pokemon. You're like 12 years old and your mom's like, "Well, I guess it's time for you to travel the whole world and become a Pokemon master on your own and like battle adults and everything else." You're not perpetually infantilized. In fact, it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's like they stunt the youth in the West, or it's
Well, even just a few centuries ago, like you even read about like Columbus, the admiral of the ocean sea, and like how he was on these boats when he's like 11 or 12. The boat gets destroyed by like another boat, fucking lobbing cannonballs at it, and like these like 11, 12-year-old boys were like captaining ships, and it's I think it's like a product of wig history, the way that boomers taught us that like somehow everybody prior to like 1950 was, yeah, they got by, but they were sort of just retarded in a way, but like we got it all figured out now. They always had that kind of tone or bent to like every history lesson. But yeah, I actually like don't like when I see people talking to children in like a very stupid way. I think that it's again, it's like subverting their intellectual development when you patronize. Like people will do this even to like 16-year-olds. They're like,
I
"Oh, you
think
should
that
like
all of us
control."
experience all of us excuse me. All of us experience that too. Like I hated when I was a kid being kind of talked down to and not given enough leeway and protectionism or whatever the word I'm looking for. It's like I think all men or adults were felt that way when they were kids. I did. I certainly did.
I make a conscious effort to. I felt the same way when I was young, and I make a conscious effort as the adult to, whenever I'm addressing a guy younger than me, it doesn't matter if he's 10 or 20 or 25, whatever, I always call him man. Even if it's like a kid,
Good, yeah.
like, or like dudes, you know what I mean? Never like boy. Nothing like degrading, you know what I mean?
It's
One thing
important.
blacks were right about was the whole like, they were right to get called mad about being called boy. Okay, what you doing here, boy? Get out of
I
here, boy.
I remember Thomas on the last stream you guys did. You were talking about like guys at your wage cage that were like not calling you boy, but like kid or something when you're like 40.
Yeah, yeah.
People are doing this to me. They were like, "Oh, Junior, can you like run out to the truck, Junior, Junior?" I'm like, dude, I literally have like male pattern baldness, and I'm
Yeah.
old, dude. I'm fucking old. You think I'm like 16? I'm fucking old. Stop doing this. I think it's like just another way of holding the line. Like, bro, I'm fucking like middle aged. What are you talking about?
Well, I think a lot of people, all they have is their age. You know, they don't like they want they don't have like necessarily accolades that they can point to. They just want to they want to perpetually gatekeep seniority and have it be a thing where, oh, you know, you'll be here at my age, even though because the economy is always getting worse, nothing ever gets handed off like that anymore.
They think that too. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm the smartest guy in the world or whatever, but I'm pretty sure by the time I was like 13, I was smarter than most of the coworkers that I work around and people I talk to, like now, like when they're 40. Or I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, and
And like this kid in the
that's with
show,
it being stifled. Like imagine if
yeah,
it had been like nurtured.
I almost don't even believe there's like any correlation at all, really. I understand brain development, but like, I still think that's trumped by just like, if a 14-year-old is really smart, he's smarter than like a 40-year-old, 50-year-old that's like a fucking a half wit or whatever.
This is gonna be a dumb question, but have you ever seen that show, Young Sheldon?
Yeah, my mom watches that. Yeah.
Okay, and the if you ever I get like YouTube shorts for it, and sometimes I can't resist watching them. And the comments section is always people going, "Sheldon is so fucking irritating. I hate Sheldon." And it's like that's the reaction that young smart boys get in our world. Like people's egos just get fucking pile drived, like wrecking balled when they encounter a child that's like way smarter than them. The adults in the show that are like respectable are the ones that are able to just go like, well, just throw their hands up and go like, what? You want me to pretend he's not smarter than me? All the
And it's,
contemptible ones are like putting on an act that he's not.
I'm even sometimes skeptical about like the role that experience plays because I've talked to guys that were like 19, 20, who I know have like never touched a titty in their life, and they still have way more wisdom and insight in regard to even things like just dating and how mate selection works than some guy that's been like married with kids and has had sex in the double
Yes,
digits,
yes.
and he's like, oh, it works like this. And I'm almost even skeptical about like experience even being relevant. Like, you either have a conceptual grasp of what you're talking about or you don't.
Well, think about like the scientific method, right? It's all about like theorizing a hypothesis before you come up with ways to test it. And a lot of these people like lucked into their results and never had to work on that blueprint. So I'm in agreement. I think that that's very common, particularly today. A lot of the dating experiences are fucking bad too. You know, it's like a rehab room or whatever says. Like when you're black pilled, it's like predicting 9 o'clock at 8:30. You know, like you know what's coming. You know exactly what these things are going to be as they're thrown at you.
You know,
Yeah,
there's something I think I appreciated about this show, guys, is that it's like fantasy dystopia or whatever, but the characters don't have like magical powers. There's no they don't have special abilities. They're just trying to survive and get out. I like that aspect of film where the struggle is real in this show. It's tragic. There's a lot going on in the movie. It has a kind of a broad range of emotions for you.
I was getting misery flashbacks when she like broke the kid's ankle or his leg.
was that the last one that we did?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
So it's been a while, yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Western Decline, in previous streams that we did that I never got to ask you And this film kind of reminded me of that question. Is that's the role that women maybe play in kidnapping? That women aren't these great, wonderful creatures. That they're actually behind some of this, this deviance in the world.
I think that they are the movers and shakers of it. I think that the men are like the fall guys for the whole thing. Men largely have an instinct to protect children, the same way that they do have an instinct to like simp for women. You know, I won't help very many people anymore, but like if I could do something to help a kid, I always would. Because for the most part, at least prior to puberty when everybody turns evil, like children are the closest thing to God I think that we have on earth, except for maybe like your pets or whatever, right? Like they're not really things that you can necessarily attribute to being evil. Even if the kid is like a bad kid, very rarely are they just choosing to be evil. Whereas a lot of adults have just like selected that as the way they're going to go about things.
One of the points too is like obviously the mother in this show, like the matriarch, she was intentionally doing very evil things, but that's not always the intent doesn't always have to be there for the effects to be the same either. Like I kept thinking about when I was young, and I harp on this a lot, but just like the fucking cocktail of mind altering drugs that my parents, with the most like well meaning intent in the world, got duped into putting me on. And I think, like, how could you think that that's a good idea? Like, you have children and that there's something defective about them where they need to be, like, altered chemically or something like that. These are not people that are stupid. These are people that I share genes with, right? I am a genetic extension of these people, and yet they believed that because, like, someone told them. You know what I mean?
I think it is a result of women being responsible for like childcare. And if historically this wasn't even a thing. Like women were responsible for babies and girls. Okay? Men were responsible for boys and young men. Like as soon as you can do something useful, as soon as your dad can tell you like, okay, hold this or do this very simple task and help me, like you were out there helping your dad and you were like going to work with him very soon. All these kind of anti-child labor laws have put children exclusively in the hands of women that don't think of them the same way. Like women can't don't have like they don't discipline well. That's why single motherhood is the number one predictor for future incarceration, because what happens is the discipline is so inconsistent and without basis that you it's like when you train a dog, you have to give it very simple repetitive instructions. You encourage bad behavior, discourage bad behavior, and you want it to be clear cut so the dog can
We
understand
really
it.
we've really moved into a new world, guys. Because when I was a kid, I went to my dad's work. We were messing around with liquid nitrogen, like throwing like ketchup packets. I've never seen a child at a workplace in my entire adult life.
Yeah, and the world that gasses women's heads up creates mothers like Dismal's or my own that think their solipsism, their narcissism, and their ego will not allow them to admit that they were they were ill-equipped to raise this child, so they instead pathologize it and go, oh well, there must be something wrong with this kid, let's look for a cure. And the same people that put women at the helm of raising all the children now to their detriment are ready to offer the solution to the problem they created. The kill shot, the two to the 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's even worse when there's like in your heart that there was no like malice. There was like well-meaning intention, and yet this was the result that ensued or whatever. And so then you're just left with confusion. Like, how did you, what kind of person are you to reason about this in that way? Like, I'm perplexed by it. But then to segue this into like another point I wanted to make, what kind of delusions am I under, even at this present moment, right? Are there commitments that I have that are just completely ridiculous and I'm going to figure out in a couple years' time, or maybe never? And it's like there was a point in this show, I think about halfway through the first season, where it's all starting to set in, and they're like, okay, we don't have any frame of reference anymore whatsoever for what is real, for what the world, how to accurately like understand our predicament. And it's interesting. Like, I've been in that situation. I guess this is what they would call like getting like woken up or whatever. But when you actually don't even have any point of reference to like contrast where you're at in the whole thing, and so then you have to reconstruct things like your own reality. Quite literally, you don't know how to reorient yourself at all. Like, you're like, oh shit, doctors are like, they're trying to kill you. Actually, they don't perform the job or task that they like purport to. It's the complete opposite. And I'm not fucking insane. Like, they say they want you healthy, but they want you fucking sick and dead. Every single thing is the opposite. For the most part, if you said the opposite of everything, you'd seldom ever be wrong. And you're like,
I think that that's what gets people addicted to being contrarian. Because you can just take the opposite stance of the normie take on things, and you'll be right more often than you're wrong, and it's like very like intellectually lazy but efficient.
and I would agree, yes. And some of the things that I currently now believe to be the case are things that I thought were borderline like what's that, like not quite David Icke shit, but you get to a certain point where you're like, holy shit, man, like, is David Icke right? Like, this thing's going deep. Like, it's getting like, certain things are the events of the 20th century or whatever, and you're like, man, this people actually believe this didn't happen. Like, what retards? Here, I'm gonna prove it wrong real quick, and then you're like, oh my god, it's not really. I'm not really able to do it.
The chil Them being children in this story is actually an advantage when it comes to having to adopt a new and fresh outlook on an unknown world. I think adults more often struggle with this than children. Children are constantly being exposed to new ideas. Their brains are primed to like take in information from the people around them and the environment. Whereas adults, like, I don't know, they just get in a pattern a lot of the time and turn into automatons. Um, I was outside working on my truck after work today, and there's some kids were like having a fucking birthday party. So there's like 50 fucking like boys running up and down the street screaming and yelling at each other. And they had more intelligent discourse between one another than I've heard from adults in probably a decade. Like, just shit talking each other. One's like, "Oh, you think you're the smart one here? Like, here's why you're not." And he went into like a spiel telling him like like just like a diatribe about why that guy's not the smart one. And it's just the kind of things you'd never hear from adult, like, let alone in front of like a large audience. So kids do say like the darndest things. This is why I think schools are, if not farms, they're definitely mined. Like, there's no way that all these assignments aren't just being combed through and like just having all the profitable ideas plucked out of them by some corporation or your government.
There's this weird effect whereby like every person sees himself like perceptually as the center of the world, right? Like, you look out through your own eyes and hear through your ears. You think you're the center, and you realize how like inconsequential you actually are. You're not like a great man. You're not even like the best man. And people just, from my experience and what I observe, they go into like a sort of habitual autopilot routine, and I think a lot of them are just waiting to die. Whereas kids haven't, they don't consider things that far ahead. They're a lot more present, and
Yeah, they're not biding their time.
a lot of people, man, it almost seems to me that they're just like you said, biding their time. They're almost like waiting to be dead. They don't, they're like too scared to kill themselves, or they don't feel like that, but it's like, let's just get this life over with. Like they're just waiting for a bad movie to end or something, and they got sports ball and like marijuana. And kids don't do that. Kids are like a lot more innovative, and they're like in the present.
On the topic of just to jump back to it for a second since I forgot earlier, on the topic of like drugging children and everything else, I think some of it is definitely just like good intentions paving to hell with women. Some of it I think is actively malicious too, especially against boys, and I think it's best exemplified by a circumcision. Because like if you ever see like the setup for circumcision, it's like it's something out of like a medieval torture chamber, but it's just been kind of given this modern sterile aesthetic where it's going to be like, oh, it's not a wooden table with
A
iron chains that
fucking
you're like
cold
that.
plastic board.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But it's not like it's not like a wooden table with iron chains in like a candlelit dungeon where you're being mutilated. It's like a sterile, like bright white, scientific room where, and it's not like some like gimp geared like a torturer hiding his identity. Instead, it's like some doctor. He's dressed just like the room is, and your family's there, and they're going to tell you it's for your own good, so you're just like going to grin and bear it. And they've got like the shit to resurrect you. Like it's like a torture thing. I forget what they use, but they sometimes the baby's heart stops while they're being mutilated, so they got to like jar them back to life. And you can't look at this objectively at all and conclude this is something we should be doing. I think everybody should be forced to like watch one of these circumcisions, because there's no way you can watch one of them and conclude that it's like a good practice. And yet I'm sure there's some women that fell for the it's
What's in the
cleaner
climb?
or girls don't like anteater dicks perspective. But Reddit has everything, and one of the things Reddit has is women that fetishize the circumcision of their children.
I think
I've
they
seen
do.
posts.
I
I've seen
think
yeah,
they
I've seen
do.
posts from women that are like, "I hope he cries when I take him in to get circumcised because he sure hurt coming out." Ha 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 ha.
I know a guy who was getting doxxed and threatened because he went on one of these boards. He's like a real wignat type. Like he's a real like low and hib fucking redhead ginger guy. Like, and he went in on one of those forums, probably the one you're talking about, and he kind of like had this back and forth with a woman, and she was threatening to, like, she knew where he was. She was like threatening him. It got pretty intense, man. These fucking mentally ill
Yeah,
people, like.
I think that it has like ulterior motives. I think that it has something to do with deconstructing the psyche of the male, and I think that that's why it's I think it's mind control of one variety or another. It's trauma-based mind control, like, and it's inflicted on you very early on in life, and most men never get over that. I think that that might be the original buck breaking, where instead of being hobbled, like a slave that tried to escape or something, your brain is essentially hobbled, because you've barely been on this earth, and the most like private, sensitive, like the generative portion of your body that you'd use to spawn another you is immediately attacked. And it's not like you like wandered into the woods and like a wild animal like got
You
hold of
sustained
it.
a bad injury, like right upon being like born.
Yeah, and it's not like an accidental thing, right? Like a lot of people fuck themselves up in accidents like war amp stuff, and I think they kind of get over it. But being circumcised is almost like being aborted and surviving it. Like it's the same kind of thing where the people that are supposed to be your protectors, your mother, your father, they're walking you right in there and feeding you to the doctor. And the doctor is supposed to be, oh, he takes the Hippocratic oath to do no harm, but he cuts baby dicks until the baby passes out from screaming for no
Um,
reason other than like, well, we just do, okay?
exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. We just do. And Mando, I want to highlight this comment here. He says, Red 40, circumcision, waking up early, goy slop, breakfast cereal, and LGBTQ indoctrination for 12 years straight. Why don't people question this more? And I think again, it goes back to like frames of reference, right? Like if everything, like the fish doesn't perceive water kind of when you're like totally immersed, somehow people do get out of it. But when you're a child, right, back to like my earliest memories, you think that things are like gestalt in the world. Like they're kind of, I remember going to Disneyland and like, you think it's more than the sum of its parts, right? It's just a bunch of like props and people in suits, but you don't see, you see things as being like somehow literally real, like they're part of the universe, like a doctor and a doctorate degree. You're like, that guy is, he's not just some human that showed up and like went through this test and like used anybody could like kind of do it. You think that it's, there's like an anointedness to things, and maybe some people never, maybe that just never wears off for certain people and they carry it into adulthood. Like for boomers, that's certainly the case. They think, and they'll say this way about like certain artists, like when they're trying to crush your dreams of ever being like a guitar player, they'll be like, that's not a real job. When you grow up, that's just a hobby you can do after you get home from work. But then they can't explain how like people made it as that. They can't explain how there are like professional, and their only solution is like that these people are somehow like they're fundamentally different or something. And that's why they can just probably sit by and like watch a circumcision like that. And I don't think that viewing these things would change a lot of people's opinion, because they would be like, this is a medical practice. And that's like, medical practices aren't just like these weird things. They're like fundamentally true or something.
The thing that blows my mind about it, well, one of the many things is just the insane double standards. Like we're at the point where, women don't have to endure even the pain of childbirth anymore. Like they give the mothers morphine and all these like chemical assistants to facilitate the process. But a boy that just got here a couple weeks ago or a week ago, no anesthetic. You'd think it would be the opposite. You'd think the natural bodily process for the adult, would be something that you do with no anesthetic, and the unnatural attack on a child is something that you'd want to mitigate the negative effects of if it was in one way or another necessary.
There was a guy that I remember during COVID, during the lockdowns. I had to take a job at a restaurant during that time. And the restaurant, it would be open and then for a while they'd close it. And we were doing takeout only. And this guy came in to get a takeout order. And you could tell he was kind of like a Lawbert type. He was like a libertarian, but he says to me, I will never go to a hospital or a doctor again. He said, if I get cancer, I'll die at home on the fucking couch. And I could tell he meant it too. Like you can tell kind of when someone's like LARPing, like a tough guy. And this guy wasn't. But I knew this when I was young because I had an adverse reaction to a drug that I never should have been on. But like you could tell he was just finding this out as an adult, right? Like after he was already like all his beliefs were like formed already, and he was like
It's like the
really,
red pill rage doctor edition.
yeah. And it's interesting anyways, just to tie it into the show. Like, yeah,
I
There's a
want
lot of
to
that that
ask you
goes
something,
on.
actually, Western Decline, about the show specifically. There's a few things that kind of stuck out with me. But what, and I hate to jump to the end, but do you notice how the mom like takes her hair down at the end?
Women in their hair is a very weird thing because you can almost tell a woman's personality based on how she's choosing to present herself with her hair. Like a Karen is not a Karen without her like chopped up bowl cut. Like the bull dyke like man hater is not the bull dyke man hater without the buzz cut. And I think that women, when they have their hair tied up, like it's because they're kind of like they're in a situation consciously or subconsciously where they're gonna get their hands dirty. Maybe the same kind of way like maybe you're working around machinery, so you like tuck in the drawstrings of your like hoodie and stuff so you don't get pulled into a lathe, right? Like in the woman's mind, like she's gonna get dirty, so her hair's up, you know. I
That's
didn't
a
catch
good
that, but
point.
it would make sense to
No, but
me.
that's a good. What you're saying adds up. Like she was, I don't know. It's like she almost took a turn on her, changing her ways, or I don't know. Like it was weird when she took her hair down at the end. I didn't really. I was trying to kind of grasp what was happening there, and I think that's something you're kind of you touched on it. I think it makes a lot of sense to me.
That was one of the things I didn't like about this show was like the redemption arc for the mother and like how the kids forgave her and this other shit. She was literally like feeding people that you knew to demons and was gonna do the same to you had you not like
Well,
stopped.
what about Ray though? Like, what about Ray? I mean, the like that was something weird in the show where everyone's like wanting the best for everyone and dismissing the wrongs that people do. That's something that kind of stuck out with me too with the show.
I don't know why with anime they always kind of put in this character that does like the friendship betrayal. Ray just reminded me of fucking Sasuke from Naruto. Yeah, I don't. Uh, I think that it is like an accurate depiction of the way a lot of guys behave, though. If guys think they can get something, get like a leg up, they'll just do whatever it takes to spite you. I'm surprised that it wasn't egged on by like a woman. That's usually what starts these kind of like bad breaks. I
It's
guess in a
funny.
way it was though, because it was kind of like a competition for the mother's attention.
Another thing I noticed, guys, while watching this show was the grandfather clock. Tick tock. Does that have any meaning to you guys?
I mean, the age pill's brutal. In their case, it's over at 12 when they have to leave the farm. In our case, it's basically the same, just a little bit older. And instead of getting a quick death where you're just drained, you get loosh farmed for as long as you manage to persist.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier in this stream, like you said, at least until they hit puberty and become evil. And that always stuck with me. That was my experience too. And again, like even the Supreme Gentleman, he wrote about that, how like everything's kind of egalitarian prior to that point. And once people start hitting puberty, there is like this kind of Darwinian scuffle that ensues, and it's a scramble. And you do get people like that, like the one you were saying, where he just kind of sold out, was trying to curry favor with the mother and all this, like, because that's like an anti strategy, right? When you can't directly win the game you undermine it, and that's like prevalent too. People might call this simping.
What a quote. Good stuff.
Mm.
When those kids were running around having that birthday party too, I hearing all these boys like yelling, and that was a thought that went through my head. I'm like these guys don't even these don't enjoy it while it lasts until a girl gets involved and you all end up hating each other.
Fucking brutal.
Like you kids are a couple years away from fighting over a girl. All the people that you think are your friends, like you're gonna be at war with one another over some bitch.
And not only that, but it's happening at different times too. This is, I think, the most pernicious thing we do, like as a society, is just the organizing of people, not according with their like hormones and their development, but just their age. It's an egalitarian. It's another egalitarian spook, right? But it's a denial of like race difference and biology, where some people are they have that huge like hormonal advantage, and they already see the game before you even understood that there was a competition. They've already seen it, and they've like marked you as a competitor or whatever. Like you don't even know you're in a tournament yet, and they're already trying to like game it.
So fucking true, man. That's like
Mm.
that's so fucking brutal for men. Like the men that don't get the game, I mean, they just get burnt. Oh man, it's so true.
If they were, imagine the societal effects, how different it would be if and we have these very objective indicators of the onset of puberty, right? Like girls' menses, or like when a boy's balls drop. Imagine at that point if they start organizing them into like classes that way, where like you don't just lump them in by their age, because that happens, for like certain races, that happens like years earlier or later. And so it's just like completely ridiculous, and it gives an advantage to like fast life history strategists who are low IQ retards.
It's the exact opposite of eugenic. Like it's
Yeah.
I think they should do the same thing for intellect, where you don't necessarily have to give children IQ tests, but give them the how would you feel if you hadn't eaten breakfast sort of questions.
Yeah.
And people that flub it, like put them in one class, and the people that pass in another, just so you don't have to interact with people that can't even conceptualize on the same scale as you.
And it wouldn't even just be that, you in doing so you'd be protecting like the smarter kids who develop later. You'd be also helping like stupid kids, because they wouldn't develop all these like genetic envy. They wouldn't have like quite the same level of genetic envy by having to be like in the class with these kids who are like way smarter than them, but who are also like easier targets to bully and whatnot. It's so fucked up. Like the busing programs, and we're not American, or like, and Thomas isn't like a Southerner, but I've talked to many of these guys that were like, yeah, they just started bussing them in, and it was never the same again. The violence and the favoritism and the envy, all of it. Like it just, nobody who witnessed that firsthand could ever delude themselves as to the difference between human groupings. So, and they did a good job at portraying that very accurately in this show. Like it just, not to be one of those guys, like there's a lot of people who kind of hate the West so much that they become like sycophantic for like North Korea and China, because they don't tolerate like nigger bullshit. They don't tolerate that kind of like slave morality, challenging the system and whatnot, like making fun of their ancestry. And it's hard to resist the lure to like want to idealize those people. It really is. I mean, I don't want to be them. I wish it for us, but to an extent, like I'm jealous that Japan can just like portray people so accurately in their state media and whatnot, and nobody's whinging about it. There's no like, Southern Poverty Law Center fucking articles being written about some Zambo in an anime comic. They would just tell you to kick off if you started fucking whinging about
And
that.
it's funny too, because like I mentioned Dragon Ball Z earlier, and there's black characters in Dragon Ball Z, but they're like background characters, and they're not depicted very favorably necessarily. Like they're not powerful, like Mr. Popo, right? So like blacks blacks that watch Dragon Ball Z, like a lot of them don't identify necessarily with the black characters in the show. They instead they vibe with fucking Piccolo. You know, he's like just like another color. Everybody's white, but he's like the fucking green alien. That's how they feel.
When you
Without
read,
being
Yeah,
told to
interesting,
complain and
guys.
hate about it,
Guys,
would
it is
people
interesting.
even?
Sorry, what'd you say? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, if you didn't have people telling them that this is wrong and they need to complain about it and hate it, like, would that even be there,
Well,
or could people just enjoy things for what they are?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like when I'm watching this as like a racist or whatever, I did notice like the choosing of the characters and how they're portrayed, and it was notable. Like the main character is blonde blue or whatever, or the main kid, and the one kid who's like I don't know, low impulse, like throwing punches, is like brown and stupid. And then you got the fucking, I mean, they do, I mean, with the film, I don't know, success with movies and shows, or entertainment. I mean, they didn't make these characters, like, it's all like, it's not an accident.
I'm surprised that Jews haven't complained about this show, to be honest, because they kind of took the whole Auschwitz tattoo thing and
good point.
like
Oh, that's
It's
a
a good
great
point.
point.
It's a great
like
point.
actually it's not Jews that are in the concentration
The
camp. It's
pajamas.
Gentile, yeah, in the pajamas. It's Gentile children. That those are the real victims of the society that we're in.
But dude, you know what's funny, man? Like when Jews or these like Western libtard anime enjoyers, they do try to level these criticisms. Like the one review video I watched on YouTube, it was some like fat Welsh looking guy. And he's like, I have to preface by saying this is like a very discriminatory. It's almost ridiculous because it's so common sense, just like prima facie to Japanese people, that the criticism doesn't even make sense to them. They're like, what? I don't know what you guys are like talking about. It almost seems ridiculous. Like they can't even get their foot into the door with like criticizing Japan because they just say they have this way. Like even my brother went there and he said they're so hospitable, everything like this, right? But when it's time to go, they just kind of put their hand on your back and they're like, "Yeah, you go home, Canada. So good country. Justin Bieber, like they're like Justin Bieber, like so good man, like Canada, strong country." And they just like push you out the door like that, right? They just want to be like proud, and they just want you to be proud, like over there. And the idea that like people aren't happy with that, it seems incoherent to them. I don't even think they can understand the criticism of when like fat neckbeard people in the West, like Jews and like white cucks or whatever, are trying to like charge them with like racism or whatever.
Actually, you have to hate yourself and elevate other groups above yours.
I literally don't even think they can understand the criticism or the position. It's not like they disagree. I think it doesn't even make sense
Yeah,
in
it's
their
like
like
a "why are
ethos.
you gay" sort of question. Like,
Yeah, it
like
seems like they don't even understand what they're being accused of because it's so obvious to them like that on like their worldview and the things that their views like commit them to, the challenge doesn't even make any sense. And I think that it's fucking hilarious almost.
Another thing
Yeah.
that I appreciated with this show was it depicted the struggle of trying to free people that are not as capable. In the show, it didn't show them as necessarily retarded, but like trying to help everybody escape, like all the extremely young children, like really hampers the level of plans that you can do. And I feel like we're in a very similar situation, just adults are so hampered by their ability to comprehend or willingness to believe or ability to get over the taboo nature of a point of view that you may as well have like a 5-year-old toddler that you're trying to like
What?
teach to swing across the chasm to escape the cannibal farm.
What a great take. That's
Yeah.
that's brilliant. Man, you just caught two things I didn't really maybe recognize, but you really just boil the pajamas with the fucking numbered tattoos. Yeah, like you're just nailing it on this. There's some things I must have missed because I mean I'm watching it and I don't know. There's a lot going on if you don't pay attention, and I only seen it once, guys. So it's just kind of I don't know neat that you
That's why I went and
pointed
watched
out some
some
of
of the
these.
reviews. I watched some of the reviews. Even one of them was an hour and a half, and I watched it. And then I put some questions like into Chat GPT. Like I knew there was a lot that I just wasn't picking up on, and I wanted a more exhaustive
Did the
understanding of it.
guys? Did the age of the characters does it bother you at all, or is it a good thing, a bad thing? Doesn't matter.
I like it because it taps into my youthfulness. I remember thinking that I was this kid, that if I had been put in a situation where I could have, like, I would have had a plan. I remember sitting in my classroom thinking, like, if there's a school shooting, like, I'm not fucking hiding under my desk and locking the door. Like, I'm crawling out the fucking window and leaving the school.
Yeah, it doesn't. That never made sense to me either. It's like if that's happening, then I'm not like listening to a teacher's authority. The relationship is void. If somebody's in the school shooting, like
Yes,
my
exactly.
math teacher's no longer like sovereign anymore. Like it's void. Like I'm like screw you guys. I'm going home. Like fuck you. The idea that probably most people would because they're just like automata. But I'm like nah. I'm going for the window.
This is the thing that, like, blows my mind, too, is I feel like, I'm not going to say all school shootings are fake, but I suspect a bunch of them are not exactly legitimate. And it's like they constantly have to traumatize children in one way or another. Like that's part of the school like thing that it does to you. If you look back and you see that footage of like they had boomers fucking hiding under their desks for like atom bombs. Like they do atom bomb drills. You got to hide under your desk from a nuke. Like that's gonna help you.
Yeah, it's so
like
dumb.
like
It's
it's
so dumb.
it's insane, but they all did it. And as far as I know, I've never heard a boomer say like, "Yeah, we used to do these retarded fucking drills. I hated it every time." Like they never like question it or anything.
Even my work, as recently as last year, they made us go through this whole thing, and like the HR woman came down and made sure we completed it. They're like, yeah, if there was a guy outside the building with a gun, then like you have to go into this room over here. It's like,
Bro, I got that same training at my jobs.
yeah, you could
They
tell it
tell
was
you
like some
it,
national psyop. It's like, we'll
it,
see, dude. This is my like. You want me to go in that room? Like, we'll see about it. Maybe I
if
will.
shit
Maybe
goes
I
down,
won't.
if I hear gunfire, I'm running off the property, the premises.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
I'm not stacking up so I can get like area of effect spelled by the PvP
Dismal.
player that's looking for a target rich area to like I'm not.
Dude, Dismal, the fact that you mentioned that's so eerie and weird because I've literally had that like multiple times. That's a
Yeah,
real.
it was probably the same module. Like it's like six questions. There was like three phases to it. They're like one of them is like the guy's like in the building. One of them he's like in the area. He's like in the neighborhood. And there's like they send out the Amber
Where
Alert.
I work, they've got special rooms that are designed for you to like wait to get slaughtered. They literally point. They show you where you need to go, and they tell you this is where you got to go to get wait to be slaughtered.
Yeah, by a spook, literally, like what happened in Halifax. Yeah, okay, bro. With that fucking guy. That's
You may,
like memory hold now, so probably don't
Well, by
even
the
know
way,
what I'm
just to get
talking
this
about.
on, I mean, I don't know why this is a side tangent, but I don't believe in almost all the shootings. They're all fake, in my opinion. Over half of them are fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I
I would
would
agree.
definitely agree. Yeah.
The timing of some of them is just so convenient.
Is that even a controversial opinion, or is that like with that? Is that like
In
it's
these
almost like
spheres,
chemtrails, where like,
I don't think so. But I think like
but in general, is it still like?
I don't know. I've avoided a lot of these topics with normies ever since like COVID happened because I people were like snitching on each other and all this other shit that I don't want to be that guy that talks about these things. I've never
A
had like
lot
a
of
good
people believe in
experience because of it.
chemtrails now. Like I was surprised by that. I think chemtrails have been kind of like allowed in, sort of. They called it cloud seeding, and then just sort of like we're like, "Hey, you can believe in this now." That
Yeah.
used to be David Icke shit. That was like David Icke shit back in the 2000s or like 2010s. If you believed in chemtrails, you were like a fucking a
Yeah,
real
I
weirdo.
had an experience with that. I want to say it was in like 2014, something like that. I pulled up to work. Another guy was getting to work. This guy was like maybe a decade and a half older than me, and he's doing the whole like weather small talk while we wait for like the gate to get unlocked to get into the yard. And he's like talking about the weather. It's such a nice day today. I'm like, well, yeah, it was, but it looks like there's spraying in the sky. And I point up, and there's like just the fucking crisscross like mesh gas in the sky. Like you can, it looks like a fucking X's and O's or checkerboard in the sky. Like it's just obviously sprayed. Like, and it looks like they're just doing fucking passes over the whole city, just to like crop dust the whole thing. And the guy looked at me like I was the crazy person for believing my lying eyes and then never talked to me again.
Do you know how many people would have to be in on something like that?
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I think that particular thing has lost so much merit with the whole COVID thing because we seen how many people will be in on something that's obviously fanciful. Like everybody lived through that for the most part. That's like the generational psyop that like tied together a lot of people. You know, young people hated it because they had to stay inside. Old people hated it because I mean, maybe they were concerned for their health, but everybody was in one way or another affected by it. And it was I still haven't seen any evidence that it's not just like a cold, like a seasonal flu.
There's a point in this show that really stuck out to me personally, and you just alluded to it a few minutes ago, but it was the split between the different ideas about how many people ought to escape together. So on the one hand, if the three of them just went, the three intelligent people, they could get out, and it's a lot more reasonable, but they'd be leaving a bunch of people behind. But then the other side, the other argument was that like everybody had to get out or nobody. It's like nobody could be left behind. And I've been talking a lot, even more so than usual recently, about like this idea of lifeboat ethics. Like, Penty said what to do when the ship capsizes and the lifeboats are filling up. The person who loves life will grab the ship's axe and sever the hands that cling to the sides, but the people that hate life will continue to pull people into the ship and try to rescue them, like sinking the lot. And I think ultimately those are kind of the biggest enemies at this point. Like I was very much on the side of the people that just wanted to like do the safe thing and have the people with the most capabilities to escape. And then maybe if we could come back later, we can get help, we can get everyone else. But like to take such an all-inclusive approach when it's so likely to fail and just thwart everybody at that point seems almost absurd to me. And people
Like
do this
imagine
like,
the Shawshank Redemption if they tried to get everybody out.
yeah, exactly. And people are doing this at like a societal scale. Like even a lot of people that are like supposed to be dissident and whatnot, they're still like cramming the lifeboat. And yeah, I think it breaks down ultimately between like these two types. It's like we can only
Question on
ignore
the
it for
coin.
so
Do
long.
you like anime?
Yes and no. I like ones like this that have like a very like loaded plot with a lot to consider while watching it. I dislike a lot of the slice of life stuff that's just people goofing around. Doesn't really have any kind of adult content. I hate stuff that is full of like filler and shit too. Like I don't on the topic of like lifeboat ethics, I like that terminology, Dismal. I got off work today and I was waiting outside of a KFC that's in the same parking lot as a Denny's. Okay,
Do
sitting
people
there in the.
go to your KFC?
I mean, I did because it's near my work, or
I I
I
swear to
tried to
God,
anyway.
I swear to God, I've never seen more than 2 cars at the local KFC. Weird, man.
So we're sitting in the parking lot, and like I'm trying to order my food on the phone app because it's like half the price of the shit on the menu in the restaurant.
Yeah, my
And
brother does that all the time at McDonald's.
the phone app is like laggy, it's fucked. You got to put in your phone number, email, verify, all this other shit. But while we're sitting there, I'm with my brother because I'm like working the job. He's like training me for this job before he goes to his next one, basically. And we're sitting there, and the Denny's beside us. Okay, this is like noon. It's like maybe 12:30. The Denny's beside us has a non-stop influx of a good half of them were like well past morbidly obese women, and they were all like 45 to like 80, like the age of women you'd like expect to be able to cook, were instead like all just piling into this Denny's. And I'm thinking in my head, like I didn't have the phrase lifeboat ethics while I was watching this, but like how in any sort of situation that required any urgency or the capacity, how would you rescue these people? Like these are women that are supposed to be of the demographics that, still know how to cook. And what are they doing like middle of the day on a Friday? They don't even have their families with them. It's not like they're going out for Denny's with like, the kids are visiting or something, or like going out with their husband. No, it's just piles of women just piling into the Denny's. I couldn't believe it. While I was sitting there in the car, it must have been 20, 25, maybe 30 of them just walked past me over the course of like 5, 10 minutes.
And it's so expensive too now. You're even like more of a piece of shit if you're still doing that because the price has doubled on stuff like that. And the wait times too have doubled. Like even to go to a Jeet Hortons nowadays, it's like you're looking at least a 20-minute fucking sit in my city anyway, no matter which one you go to and no matter which time. So it's like you gotta really want to indulge in the slop. It's like they're probably paying at least $40, $35 just to walk through the door of that Denny's, like straight out away. And
Guys,
it's ridiculous, yeah.
I was curious what you thought about, the shows, the focus of like the intelligent children are the ones being prioritized. Does that have a meaning at all, Dustin?
Well, the best of the Goyim must be killed. That's what I took away from it. Like it's it's kind of like the communist idea too, where the mother almost saddles them so that they don't have time to ruminate with their intelligence. There's too many children at the orphanage or whatever they call it in the show for her to handle on her own, and she delegates the responsibility of all of the little ones like out to the smartest and oldest people.
It's almost like a kibbutz. Um, did you guys ever see the channel Demographic Doom
I don't
on
believe
YouTube?
so.
Dashboard recommended this guy on a stream. He was referencing him like a long time ago. You should look up his channel. He's dead now, but his content's still up. And he had this idea that
How did he die?
I'm not sure. I think Dashboard actually like pulled this guy's obituary somehow, and he just died naturally. But no, it's coming back to me now. So Dashboard did this stream like a long time ago, a year and a half ago at least, and he was talking about this channel on YouTube. It's still up, Demographic Doom. Go binge his videos, like you'll learn a fuck ton. But the guy died, and he was survived by his father, and he wasn't like a young guy either. And this was the whole thing. Like Dashboard was saying, yeah, you're gonna see this like huge epidemic of like people being outlived by their father, and they're not even dying in like car accidents, or like they're just dying from like old age literally before their parents do. But they had this idea in like Israel just around the time when they like founded it, and it was a kibbutzism, and they would raise kids almost like what's depicted in this show. It was like this communal fucking the parents were kind of they had like the most minimal of attachments to their actual like genetic kin. Like a lot of times it wasn't it was other people caring for them. And like obviously tons of kids got raped. It was a fucking disaster. Like everyone ended up fucked up, right? But this guy, Demographic Doom on YouTube, he says he identified the whole problem with this. And he said he fixed it. It was because they didn't space the ages out appropriately. You can't have two kids that are the same age, because it fucks up the power structure. There's got to be a chain of command where like the 16-year-old teaches like a 15, 14, 13 all the way down, and so the parents have tons of autonomy. And he said this was supposed to like be a good way to fix declining birth rates, because it would allow parents to have their cake and eat it too. They'd be able to go enjoy like all the fun of like PC woke fucking whatever, right? Hedonism, but at the same time they could have kids, and it would just trickle downhill. But yeah, he said the nuclear family is cooked. Like it's unsalvageable. It was like, and I agree with him on this. It was like a little blip in history that it ran its course. It served its function at the time, and it no longer does at all. And he said this was like his big proposal to it. Just a side tangent, but
Well, I think it really only takes one nail in the nuclear family coffin to destroy it, and it's the usurpation of the male head of household by the woman. Because that right then, like, it doesn't matter how well you structure the hierarchy of children by age. If the woman has passed the man, then there will be no structure. Like, your house is already out of order at that point. It's untenable from that point forward.
he said there should be this extreme vetting. Like it should be a very, very high barrier to entry for parents who want to do this. And it's all coming back to me now. I'm trying to remember on the fly, but he said you would basically bring like two or three couples together, and these would be like these people would be like IQ tested. They'd be like all everything they could like vet them on, they would. And then yeah, you would basically the parents would just like teach the oldest. They'd confer this knowledge to like the oldest, and then what he said, once you get this thing in motion, it self perpetuates forever. So like it alleviates like elderly burden too. This Demographic Doom guy's super fucking high IQ. Like I can't even begin to do his like proposal justice here, but he's like, yeah, you would they all take care of like the elderly, and it all loops back on itself. like a perpetual motion machine.
6 years ago, one of his first videos he put out why adults should not own pets. This guy was definitely ahead of the curve.
Man, he was like a real. Probably some of the shit he said was like retarded because he was like a really risky. He's like a very risky thinker, but yeah, man. Why adults shouldn't own pets? Like, yeah, I'm all ears, man. At this point, yeah, most people shouldn't own pets. They can't take care of them fucking selves. Like, if you're lining up at a Denny's, bro, you shouldn't own a pet. Like, you can't take care of yourself.
Yeah,
I agree
I
with
think
that.
it was just sad because a lot of the red pill types will tell you that like, it's just this generation of women that don't cook or can't cook. And I think that this has been a problem for a long time, like since the microwave was invented. Like what year was that?
Oh, I don't use the microwave. I have one, but I never use it.
Like microwaves were invented in 1945. So ever since the microwave has fucking existed, at least, women have just been like popping some slop in there and like nuking it and then handing it out. And it's probably even predates that. Like probably like toasters were the beginning of the end for like convenience cooking and like removing women's ability to actually make food. And after that it just became like convenient, like, oh, you're gonna get the tater tots, you're gonna get the McCain super fries, you're gonna get like the mystery
The
meat like
Swanson
boiled
fucking
wieners.
Salisbury steak
Yeah, yeah.
with the one mushroom. It always had like one mushroom.
Yeah.
Just one mushroom on the top of it and like a gravy packet. Yeah, no, it's every single dystopian like depiction, it always has the same thing when it comes to food, where it even just like continues down that line even further. Like Brazil, which we reviewed like a month or two ago, where they were just eating like a piece of gelatin with like
It's all artificial flavoring.
yeah, and it follows, yeah, the microwave, like that's where it starts and like that's where it ends. You just have like a piece of gelatin with a picture on it.
I
It's like
think that
3D
this
printed.
might be another case of like boomers that just want to like I have a limited grasp of this, right? But my sister is very health conscious and actually like cooks almost all of her own food. She buys like expensive groceries, but cooks all of her own food, and it's not stuff I necessarily like, but it's like good. It's just not my kind of thing. And it's kind of I think it's just boomers. I think people don't want to admit that like a lot of young people are just better than them.
I
I
always hated the microwave. I always held the line against like people trying to.
I
I,
literally never use the microwave
yeah,
ever.
I'll throw it in a frying pan or like even in an air fryer or the oven. Even though it takes like 10 times as long, I'll preheat that motherfucker and wait like half an hour. It would be one thing if microwaves like actually served the function they're supposed to, but they're shite. Like it doesn't fucking work. It's always like too hot, and then it's parts of it are still frozen. They're just fucking gross. Like it tastes weird.
yeah, I don't. About the only thing I'll use
Microwaves are
the
so
microwave
fun.
for is like speed defrosting like bread. And then you have to eat it like instantly before it cools down because it turns into a rock after that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it
Fuck the
separates
microwave.
all the moisture from the bread while heating it, and then
The air fryer should totally phase out the microwave like a pager, like cell phones did the pager.
I don't even like the microwave popcorn. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I I don't fuck with it.
So I was reminded my sister's boyfriend got his parole. Okay, so he's out, he's free, and one of the things that she said that he complained the most after doing a couple years is that like prison, at least the one he went to, wasn't that bad. You know, you have people on the outside sending you money. They have like a concession in there. You can buy all sorts of like fucking snacks. You can have TV. You can have video games. You can bring in like your own clothes. They've allegedly made it a lot better. Like people are constantly dropping like fucking drugs into the yard with drones, so you can get a high off whatever you want in there if you have money. Like it wasn't that bad. You're supposed to not be able to get a whole bunch of things, but people are sneaking USB sticks up their butt with like in a
Probably
fucking
watching porn on their
yeah,
fucking
yeah. Like it's
iPhones and shit.
if you can imagine it, it's basically going on in there.
It comes back to Fort Goon, right? Like that stream you did, and I'm not trying to be funny. Like I was almost envious about like the prospects of living in a prison. The one the one complaint used to be that like there's no women in jail. Like that's it's so hard to get by like without.
Well, if I
But
got
that's
news for
already
you
like
about the
every
outside world,
yeah, that's like the free world now for like
Plus, all the guards
85%
are
of men.
women now. They're all having sex with the inmates.
Yeah, like it might even increase your chance, but at least it's like not going to decrease it, right? So that used to be the one big. I think
what
it'd be better than room rotting, man, for a lot of people. I'm not trying to be funny or contrarian. I think for a lot of people, homelessness and like the tent pill might be a step up, and even going to prison for like a short stint might just
well,
be better than room rotting, to be honest.
the problem arises. You're gonna have a shit time in prison, from what I heard, if you don't have somebody on the outside that's putting money on your books and willing to send you things. Like there's a whole prison economy that revolves around, so you're only allowed to bring in like $1,000 worth of stuff when you get into prison. And so like crackheads, for example, they don't have anybody on the outside that's going to send them like a monitor, like a TV, and like a fucking video game system and shit like this for that $1,000. So what they'll do is they'll sell it's called a pen pack. They'll sell their pen pack to somebody else in the jail, and that person will give that guy money. So like they'll give the guy like $500 on his books so he can buy like snacks while he's in prison in exchange for using his pen pack to smurf in another $1,000 worth of stuff for himself, if that makes sense. So like even if you're a totally broke crackhead, prison isn't going to be that totally awesome for you necessarily. But if you have $0, the day you go to prison, you'll have $500 on your book because people know that you're broke and
didn't
they'll
didn't
buy your pen pack.
didn't Anders Breivik have like a
Wow.
PlayStation 4 or something? And he was complaining.
Yeah, he sued because his video games were out of date, and they gave him more games afterwards.
It's playing like Gran Turismo or like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, man.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it
it's
gets to a
amazing.
certain.
If you think about it, like you like slaughter. Well, suppose I don't even know if that's a real story. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Everything's fake in my opinion until you show me proof. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the story that well, but
I want to believe that one, to be honest,
do you
because it's
feel
such like a well thought out plan. Like I'm not gonna go after these boomer politicians. I'm gonna take out the whole training camp of the next generation of liberal leaders. I'm gonna set off an explosive on one side of town, like opposite at like a government building, opposite where I'm going head to do my like real attack. Like it was just executed very well. And I haven't read any of these kind of inconsistencies about it that you get with like Sandy Hook or any of this other like strangeness.
they have like a maximum sentence of like what was it, like 20 years in Sweden or whatever? So I don't think he's getting out though. Like they're gonna have some special circumstances or something.
He'll get out one day. I'll be playing WoW with him 15 years from now.
What do you think about Tim McVeigh? Was like, do you think he was a spook or
Was he the one that flew the plane into the IRS building?
Okay,
he
see,
was OKC, Oklahoma City bomber that
Oh,
read
okay.
the Turner Diaries?
I think that having the fake ones is like a new thing, to be honest. I think that like they needed a jet, like you had Ted K, you had all these guys that did like kind of a semi good job of it. And then you just roll out like these incompetents. You roll out the ERs. You roll out the like these Troon shooters that get fucking blasted before they can even fire a single shot, or like the Trump assassin looks like the most like dysgenic, like mushed up test tube baby.
I think every single thing post and during Obama's second term in office was like you should just default skepticism about
The
it.
the one that made me really start questioning it was Sandy Hook, and it was that one kid's dad that didn't know the camera was on him yet, and he was like laughing and joking around, and then the camera went on him, and he like literally turned on the crocodile tears and started pouting into the camera about his allegedly dead kid. That
And
was the one that. Go ahead.
the one that got me too was that Jew that like all that he lived on the street and like all the kids ran into his house. He's like, oh, they were so scared, and I just saw them. I just saw them running up the street, and I just wanted to hug them. He was such a bad actor, man. Like in the literal
Yeah.
sense, he was a bad actor.
Yeah, there was a whole like string of them that was particularly bad. I remember there was a lot of stuff about the Boston bombing that was also like nonsense. I remember the picture of the guy being rolled around in the wheelchair with the blown off legs from the Boston bombing. Um, he was like a U.S. like army guy that had lost his legs to an IED that they had just like done up with Hollywood makeup. And even in the picture that they put out of him being pushed in the wheelchair with his limbs blown off, like there's not even a blood trail like on the ground. Like you're missing your legs from the knee down, and there's not even a drop of blood over the last like 20 feet that this person has pushed you in the wheelchair. All the glass from the windows of the businesses on the street, the glass is blown like into the street, not into the buildings, like at least I'd expect it to be.
Remember the Vegas shooting? Like where the brother who's like looks so Jewish, sounds so Jewish, and he's talking about all comped, comp.
No, it was so scary. Everything, man, it's so much went on during that second Obama term. They really went for it with the psyops. Like they were coming out every week, and they were very careless about it. Like they just sort of were like, "There it is, believe it." And a lot of it was very far fetched. It seemed very lazy and hasty.
Yeah, Obama's DEI psyops, they weren't sending their best to perpetrate those. Uh,
Yeah, you had just a slew of them within like a 2 year span, really.
I think
And
Dashboard has ranted about this, how like the spooks are not what they used to be. Like you're not dealing with some like yeah, what was the predecessor of the CIA? Forgetting the name. You're not the point is you're not dealing with like these high quality like like you see the CIA recruitment ads and it's like, yes, Consuela, like we'll hire you, you don't have to be a hotel janitor.
it's like
Like,
boomers and nons just like taking for
yeah,
granted that they don't understand that there's these like highly weaponized autistic minds that are just like rotting in their room and like picking apart camera footage of of the space station of the ISS and stuff. They're just like, there it is. Like we're gonna close your Facebook if you say anything about this.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
to bring it back to the show review. I didn't want to bring it up, but we'll get it out of the way with that. I think that this is kind of this show kind of alludes to flat Earth too, because they're of course trapped in a like a round environment where everybody inside of it is getting farmed, and there's like a wall that is very hard to pass to get out, and it's demons feeding off of them. I would just extend this to kind of the whole earth at this point. I think that this is what a lot of like warfare is. Like it's what abortion is. It's like why people are systematically killed earlier than they die from natural causes in a world where there's really no need for that to be the case.
Yeah, it's like the female method of war. This guy in the chat, Razor82, he says Tim McVeigh, another one of us Western New Yorkers. I think somebody needs to do a deep dive into like the Western New York pill, like especially Buffalo and like upstate. There's just such a concentration of black pillars in this sphere that are like from that. And I've been there before. I don't know if either of you guys have, but it's really dismal, but not in a way that's even funny. Like when you go to Brampton or like Bramladesh, it's hell on earth, but it's funny. Like you'll see like a Jeep like walking on the fucking hydro line or something. But like in Buffalo, it's in Buffalo, it's like not funny. It's really fucking shitty. I don't know how to describe it. Like you just your chest feels tight like when you're in that place.
You can't relax.
Yeah, not at all. It's like I don't know.
It's a concrete jungle.
Someone should really do a deep dive into that place and just like kind of flesh it out. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was a great suggestion. I was worried when it first got suggested because most of my attempts to watch anime in the past have failed. But I can really see why you picked this. Like I think you knocked it out of the park, and I almost see the like when we do these streams. I've been on a number of them now. I view them almost more like of a canvas that like you're painting on or I'm painting on. It's not even necessarily always about like the show. It's about like what you're gonna kind of impose onto it. And this was like a really good canvas for like there were aspects of this I thought were gay and like I didn't like, but overall it's such a good conversational like jump off point in a way.
I felt like a lot of the cutesy stuff was, unnecessary to the story. I think I would have liked this show better with more of a grim dark styling, but it kind of worked in its own way where you had like the contrast of the overt kind of like heavenly image of their environment contrasted with the like evil underbelly of it. I wonder though, like for me, I feel like if I was placed in this environment, I would immediately like if I looked around and I seen everybody else that was my peers had like this fucking numerical tattoo on their fucking neck. Okay, like I don't care how well like how silk the pajamas are, how good my orphan mom is like cooking is or anything like this. I would be like I'd be looking around thinking like there's something fucking wrong with this. Like why did they mark us? Like we have names. Why do we have these fucking who's going to adopt me with this fucking tattoo on my neck? It's not like helping you.
Yeah, there may be more to this.
Can we just kind of just maybe touch on plot holes or problems you had with the film, or the show, or the series?
I think that did any of you guys watch Severance?
I didn't know.
No, I've heard a lot of people kind of chat about.
It's okay. I check it out. I won't spoil it, but there's a segment in the show where one of the people is trying to kill themselves to escape being trapped in there, and they grab like an unnoticed like electrical cord to try and hang themselves in the elevator. And after that, the after that, like electrical cords are no longer like left laying around. And I think that that was kind of one of the plot holes from this show where the mother, whatever the previous person, had attempted their own escape and maybe succeeded or whatever, but it was like the same method that she used, and yet like the same thing kind of happened.
Yeah,
There no like corrective action had been taken, unless in her case, I don't remember if in her case or not they had the tracking devices like installed or not. Um, the tracking devices are almost like a circumcision thing in my view because none of them that it was done to them when they were so young that they don't even remember it happening. You know what I
you
mean?
know, You know, something that's funny is that I wouldn't call this a plot hole, but I also wouldn't use the word convoluted, but I noticed like as the season kind of wore on, there were layers of complexity that kept getting like piled on top and on top. And it makes me think too, right? This is not meant to be necessarily watched by like people in the West. It's meant for Japanese people, right? Whose like average IQ is whatever it is, much higher. And I'm like, wow, the difference in media, like I have to actually kind of focus to follow this. It's literally not intended for people with an IQ below like 112 or whatever. So you can't be like dillying around on your phone. You have to. I'm like, if I don't follow this, I can't follow it. It's like I need to rack my brain a little bit. Like it's not passive watching, and it's just maybe that again is like a testament to how fucking stupid we are on average here in the West, and how like damaged our brains are because they just would take this for granted. Like this is easy to follow, but
What I love about this review, you guys, talking to you about this specific series, is that it's this show about these kids who like figure it out. Like something's like dark out there. It's not the world we thought it was. And some asshole, some normie asshole's gonna listen to my stream and listen to Western Decline talk about this movie, and it's gonna be a fucking. He's not. He's gonna be the kid like in the movie.
dude, I've had this thought before too. Um, where like people will find some film review that we've done and it's like 2 minutes in you're already like denying the Holocaust or something like this, or somebody's like, what the fuck is this, man? You guys are
It's like a
what
big,
the fuck
it's
are you
like a big
talking
bait.
about?
It's not really a bait and switch though, because it's like it's the context of the movie like discussed in the context of like our pre-held beliefs.
Yeah, but I always like kind of have a chuckle when I think about that, somebody stumbling across like
Yeah,
some
yeah.
movie that the three of us did or whatever,
It's like an innocuous title. Like it
like a
doesn't give you any
Brazil, like
It doesn't give you any
dude,
warning what's gonna be in it.
dude, imagine somebody just like, yeah, they're like, oh, there's like a review of the film Brazil, and then they're just listening to this, like, talking about like butt parasites and total boomer death.
I hope the Jews don't make me so brain raped that I wear a baseball cap with an extended brim.
It's like the ultimate Rickrolling, but like it's real though. It's not like it's like an anti Rickroll or something. Like
Yeah,
you got like the
instead of
proper take on
coming for something serious and getting like a joke, you come for like a joke and you get something serious.
it. Yeah,
I
you
want
get like a 3 hour lesson on. Oh man, that's funny. I bet Thomas gets some weird comments
um
sometimes.
I have over the years.
Like I get them too. What the fuck did I just watch?
to build on that point about like the layers of complexity in this kind of like show. What age group or like would you say that this is aimed at, and if not aimed at, appropriate for?
Like it's hard to even answer that because I think the youth in Japan are again, not to like dick ride them or whatever, but I think they're probably smarter than like most fully grown adults here. So like, I mean, I could say it's for adults because it was a very dense storyline. Like moment to moment, there were layers of information that were like being added, but maybe we're just that dumb. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we are that dumb, because I asked that question to lead into my following statement with like my mother loves watching all this like cop slop, like TV programming. Like it just never stops. She watches this shit like all day. And like if you compare the complexity of a show like this to something like Law and Order with that retard like Detective Stabler, okay? Like I don't think your average Law and Order or CSI watcher could watch this show and like handle it.
Yeah, my buddies couldn't believe I was watching it. I had friends of mine and my roommate, and they couldn't even. You're really watching this right now? Like they're just normies. You just don't know. They don't want to like. They just want to watch normie shit.
They
I
want
like
all the minutia. Like there almost seems to be a like a 1-to-1 correlate between like the lack of minutia and the popularity of a thing. Like John Wick, right? They make the whole intent is to strip all minutia out of the plot whatsoever, and they resent it. Like even if there's, it's not even just like they lack the capability to follow a show like this in the West. It's that even if they could, they don't want to. They kind of scorn it. They just want to be
it's
able
not
to.
inclusive enough for their taste. Someone might feel excluded because they're not being spoon-fed of like what it's about.
Yeah, they just want to like slop out on the couch and fucking like they don't want their intelligence insulted or whatever. It's yeah, it's like it's not just about their capacity which they lack, but it's like that it's like attitudinal. Like they hate the idea that they have to use the intelligence that they do possess. Even if they're smart enough, they don't want to. So yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to say what kind of age group I think this was intended to. I'm gonna say, yeah, like people in the
I think
chat,
King Frog in the
13.
chat was right. 16 plus.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're talking about Westerners.
I think that all the answers are basically valid, and I think that that's one of the things that's so good about a lot of. No, I won't say all anime because a lot of it is kind of shit, or at least not for me. But a lot of it has appeal for all age group audiences. Like everybody could kind of watch this and enjoy it. Um, and not in like a sitcom kind of way where there's a set of jokes for the kids that are watching and then there's a set of jokes for the adults that are watching with their kids. You know what I mean? Like everybody that watches the show more or less gets everything that it's being offered by it. I really appreciate with this show because I was put off by the aesthetic of it at first too. When somebody told me to like watch this, I seen the thumbnail or the cover art of the season. I was like, yeah, this is probably not gonna like this. But you immediately get that in the first episode, like you kind of know what's up with the show. You know, it's enough to hook you in that it's not gonna be this like this what's the word? This idyllic uh world with these people where you're just following them around while they're like eating breakfast and like babysitting one another.
Do you guys have a favorite animation, a favorite cartoon, a favorite, you know, children's movie or whatever the fuck?
I liked that I liked Recess when I was young, and now I could probably thinking about it. I almost see like some like pretty bad themes in that now that I think about
There's
it.
some
But I
pretty good
fucking
ones too, though, like
yeah,
Randall and Miss Finster. That was a fucking
yeah.
that taught you a lot.
I think that was probably my favorite cartoon. I'm gonna say Recess.
I watched a Goofy movie when I was young. I watched Fern Gully when I was young. But one of my favorites was Sword in the Stone. That's a Disney movie. And I really enjoyed, um, what's it called now? God, I don't even remember the name of it. Uh, Legends of the Guardians. That's probably one of my favorite animated series, but that was one I experienced as an adult. I enjoyed Legends of the Guardians probably the most. As I don't watch very many animated shows or cartoons or anything like that. Like my brother's, he's like a dad, my younger brother, so he watches a lot of like what's that one show with the little girl who's all, that goes travels all over the world or what?
Oh, Dora.
Dora.
You know what I was gonna guess instead? Where in the world is Carmen San Diego?
Yeah,
Oh,
me and my brother watched that animated series.
yeah.
We watched X-Men when we were kids. There's a bunch of other ones. The newer shit started coming out when me and my brother were young. The 3D dinosaur show or whatever the fuck it was. I can't even remember some of the shit. I mean, I watched Power Rangers when I was young. Probably people in the chat probably have no idea. Like Power Rangers is like fucking old, but
I
My
went.
that wasn't animated.
my favorites when I were a kid were like a trilogy. They were all kind of in the same vein. I think they were even made by the same people. It was Street Sharks, Biker Mice from
Yeah.
Mars, and Cowboys of Moo Mesa.
My brother always watched Pinky and the Brain. Like the whole taking over the world fucking bit in the beginning of the show or whatever.
You know what I like about Pinky and the Brain? Is in the opening song it says one is a genius, the other's insane, but it never specifies which is which. And like coming into the midwit meme and like horseshoe theory, you know, the genius, like the one with the big head, I think might actually be the retard.
I last time I went to the movie theater because I got these tickets for Christmas. It was like two admissions to a movie. And there's nothing playing obviously, but Canada's like so diverse that they will show like Asian films or they'll show like Punjab films in our theaters now, like in your local theater. And I went to see this anime movie. I don't know the name of it, but someone in the chat would probably know. It was like this big fat sumo guy and then this little like gender ambiguous like thing that was like its sidekick. It was very popular. And it was good. It wasn't bad, but it went on for so fucking long. Like over 3 hours. I don't know. I was done
Uh,
with it after like an hour 45, and then it just kept going and going and going.
when me and my brother were young, and even my younger sister, we had a half sister. My brother and I, we'd throw on that movie when we were kids. We'd throw on Lion King, and the family dog would like, well, the animals gather in the beginning of the movie. Well, like the family dog would get up in front of the TV and just howl, and it was just wild to watch.
The 90s were magic. Just had like an air of magic to
Yeah, it was
them.
different, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be young and like played NBA.
Colors were different
I
back
played
then. Like it was
NBA
just
Jam
yeah.
and
I just
Street
felt like
Fighter.
colors and sounds were different back then. Like it was just
Well, supposedly the sun was like more yellow.
yeah,
Supposedly,
I believe it.
I don't know what to think of that fucking meme. That thing's been going around where the sun's like different.
That's crazy because that's like a Hans Wormhat thing that I heard like 8-10 years ago from
Yeah.
and it's like the chemtrails. It's like finally caught up to the masses. You know, they're finally catching on to a lot of this stuff. I agree. I think it used to be too. Like I remember when I was a kid, you'd get told like, "Don't stare at the sun," and I'm like a stupid kid, right? So you know, I'd do it, of course, like just to see. And you know, you could bear to look straight at the sun for a while, and it might fuck up your eyes a little bit temporarily. But now, like, it's totally blinded. Like, I was driving at work today, I couldn't see shit. I got to bring sunglasses. You know, I was driving into the sun, I was just fucked.
Dude, I gotta keep my like left arm across my rib cage now when I'm driving, so it doesn't just get burnt like a magnifying
You
glass.
know, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, Western Decline. I was leaving work, and it was uniquely bright out, and it's like I got one of them. And I'm not trying to like, I don't know. I'm not trying to talk or what's the word? I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I have like one of them glass roofs on my car, and I fucking hate it. The sun's just fucking nailing me, and I forgot my sunglasses at somebody's house like weeks ago, right? And I haven't been able to get back there. So I got this it's brighter than hell. I got a glass roof and I no sunglasses, and it's just and the air's quality shit. Like this is fucked.
Somebody in the chat says air was more clear, more bugs existed. That's absolutely true. I remember when I was a kid, we used to take these fucking road trips in the summer, and like my parents, every time we stopped for gas, my dad would be like, "Okay, time to clean the bugs off the windshield." And like it was every couple hours, and the windshield would get fucking caked. There'd be like big ones, like big dragonflies, just bees fucking smashed all over the place. Like I remember thinking like half the time. I couldn't even tell what the insect was, just that it was huge. And I can't remember the last time I even had to clean a bug off of my windshield. I look at every vehicle in my driveway that anybody's driving, and there's just no fucking there's no bugs on the grill or the windshield or anything.
There's something weird going on because I haven't had to wash any bugs off my car for ever since I got a car a couple years ago. It's probably a couple years old. Fucker has never had any bugs on it. It's weird. Like I've driven the thing all over the country. I mean, I've been to like 3 different states in the last 2 years. I've never had to like. It's not like the old days where there's just bugs all over the damn thing.
I think one of my most like unique takes that I've had is that I believe in chemtrails, but I'm almost like a benevolent chemtrail theorist. Whether or not the same people doing it like caused the problem in the first place, which is like highly likely. But I know, man, if some of those days they didn't go and like block out the sun, it would have just fucking bleached the paint off the fucking hood of my car.
Not
Like,
gonna
I'm not
lie.
joking.
Not gonna lie though. Like I go out and
It's like,
go. I
Yeah, like
go.
the Earth is becoming inhospitable, and they're trying to stop it, or at
I
least
don't
like
know. Like, I
I,
just, all I know, I'm not going to go that far because, like, yeah, it's probably like full of aluminum that's like accumulating in my testes. But at the same time, I just know, like, some of those fucking days, man, I'm almost half glad they blocked out the fucking sun like Mr. Burns because, like, that shit would have burnt me to death. It's so fucking hot. Like, again, back in the day, dude, when we were young, those silver reflector sheets that people would put up in their dash, very few people had them. You were like an oddball if you used one of those.
yeah.
Now nobody really doesn't have one. Like I would pull into my parking lot at work and everybody would have two of them. They'd have like one going in the back and the front, like everybody. It's Toronto especially is so fucking hot.
Guys, that's why I can't understand anybody who lives down south, man. Like near like the southern areas, like it's just dirty and like miserable and gross. Like I,
honestly,
I can say,
you kind of adapt to it.
I can
I
say,
moved to like the desert region of Canada from the like tundra region, and y y the heat is oppressive at first, but your body like does adapt. I can't like sit in the sun and like I'll still burn, but
to me, it's not
I can
even.
handle the heat. Like I just you just need to have water. That's
To
all
me,
it
it's
is.
not just the heat. Like the actual like the taking care of the like environment and shit. When you go down to some of these, I don't know. I'm from the Midwest, so I go down to these other states. I'm like, man, they're filthy. These people are dirty. Like this, and I'm not trying to talk shit. It's just, it's not the heat. It's just, it's a literally a dirt pit compared to where I like the Midwest. In my opinion, like, and maybe it is just temperature and different climate or whatever, but no, they don't take care of some of these states are just gross and dirty and the air is terrible. And I mean California literally has smog, bro. Like you have to like close your windows, bro.
Have you guys ever watched The Dark Crystal?
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's a movie or a show that I think shares a lot of parallels with Promised Neverland, where like the elderly people have sold out their youth and are like have this like deal with the
Cocking,
devil
yeah.
where they're like trading them to just be like a food source for the people that are actually in power. Dark Crystal is it's
Well,
like an example of why we can't have anything good in the West because like Dark Crystal got remade. It was on Netflix and it was really good and it had really good reviews and they just never brought it back. It's like, oh, this is a little. It flew too close to the sun, so to speak.
Yeah, that tends to happen. In fact, I could say that about this series, where the second season has everyone. I don't know. I don't know what the second season's about, but everybody says don't watch. Like I read comments and like everyone says just stay away, don't watch.
It's
And
like
it does that
they
with
they just
everything, by
they
the way.
just kind of tainted it afterwards. The next half, like they turned it into something that it never was intended to be. Like, uh, I can spoil the next season if you want. Like, basically, they get out, and it's like rather than demons being all bad and eating children and everything, there's actually good demons that help them fight the other demons. Like it's but those good demons never came to actually rescue them. Apparently, they never tried to help the people. They just like they turned it into more of like a sword art online, like general fantasy thing where they're like battling these big giant demons in the woods, and they're like raiding like demon compounds. Like it's nothing at all like the first season where it was kind of like a psychological thriller. Like their minds like struggling against their captors' minds. Like
There was so much to appreciate with the show, and it's like I'm not even a big fan of like cartoons or anime or any of this shit. Like, but this and a handful of others, this one specifically, you just I never heard of it. So you refer it to me. I start watching it. I don't know what the fuck's happening. I don't know where this is gonna go. And that's so what neat about it. It's the pacing and the anticipation, and to me, it's more of an I don't you can't I can't do the slasher stuff. Like this is actually good when it comes to scary, in my opinion.
I find the scariest stuff parallels real life.
I didn't read or hear or look up anything about this. I just grabbed the link that Western Decline sent me and just started watching it. And I think that added a lot to it, especially on that first episode. Like it jarred the fuck out of me when, like, just how intense that body in the truck scene was. I was like, wow. I think having read a little bit about it, probably would have like taken too much of the edge off. But
Yeah, like
when you just delve
as
straight
the
in, it's
viewer,
intense.
you're as jarred as the kids are.
Yeah, because again, I'm not used to seeing that stuff in and like what looks on the face of it to be a
Yeah, you
children's
you wouldn't
show.
expect it with the art style. It's very
Yeah,
much like
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's definitely opened my mind more to animes in the future.
Yeah, why don't you guys give your concluding remarks? Dismal, you can go first. Just kind of tell us just what final thought, whatever you have to say about it, and
I've
then
more or less exhausted.
plug your stuff after too if you want.
Yeah, I've more or less exhausted whatever I had to say about this. I think, like I said, it was knocked it out of the park. I think you guys did a really good job fleshing this out, and that's pretty much it. This is this is one of the more enjoyable one of these I've ever done. So thanks for the suggestion, and a little bit unconventional, but like I said, this sort of broke my anime cherry, and yeah.
All right, Bustin' Decline, go ahead.
I couldn't come up with a movie, so I'm just thankful you guys actually watched it. I'm more thankful you didn't end up hating it and my recommendation wasn't retarded. So
I'm surprised Thomas didn't like it. That's always my first. I'm like, man, and Thomas will not say anything about anything till we're like live on the air, right? So I'm like, is he gonna like give it a stinker or what? And I'm always surprised too. I didn't think you would like this at all. I'm always wrong about my predictions about like Thomas's
Well,
approval and
one problem
disapproval.
that I've always had, and other kind of like quote unquote wignats have, is the androgynous, or what's the word they use, where the characters are kind of weird looking and not very. distinct, and but then they kind of flip the script. I don't know. They try to do it with the eye shape and the hair color, but as a white person, like, yeah, they're light skinned or whatever, but a lot of the Wignats want to watch white people, and that's kind of that's why they don't like anime. Probably, I don't know.
Well, there's those charts that people have done that have a lot of the characters in anime are white because you can see that the animators, if you know a show well enough, you can see that they animate the characters as white very often because the Asian characters will almost stand out like the black character did in this one where like they're drawn to be very Asian, and it's like, wait a second, like that's how the
Fucking,
the animator is depicting Asians. Well, what are all these other characters we've been
I'm
seeing?
just thinking about I'm just thinking about something I kind of just forgot to mention. Any issue with women playing all the characters, or the main characters? Like, these are supposed to be male characters, but I'm pretty sure the voices are all
Yeah,
women.
yeah, but they did that in The Simpsons too. Wasn't Bart Simpson also voiced by a woman? Like this is something that they just do for whatever reason. I think that they just like fucking with people's heads. Honestly, they must have some kind of an effect. Or maybe it's just a case of the people that make this material know that like the male mind that a lot of this stuff is aimed at is more likely to listen to a woman even if it sounds like a man. There's some kind of subliminal aspect.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. I had a lot of fun. We'll probably do, I don't know, I'm probably going to do another film review, and I don't know, at some point in the future. I don't know who's going to be around to do it. We'll figure it out. And yeah, it was a good time. Good time. I really enjoyed the series, and I like to you know tell people about stuff I like to watch or I've watched, and my brother and me, we kind of do that. And when you refer to, when any of you, like Brazil, for example, Dismal, like, I never saw it, never heard of it, didn't even really enjoy it. But like, when someone I think is like got, a good, some, good ideas, or someone I like respect or want to hear what they think about, and they refer a movie to me, it's like, oh, I want to check that out, and I don't like the whole just go see what everyone else is watching. I mean, I kind of get it with the popular culture and being kind of in the know and not being retarded about, social aspect or whatever. But I just want to hear, like, what people I, liked hanging around, people that I spend a lot of time talking to or hanging around, and what, if they tell me to watch something and I watch it, it's kind of fun to kind of exchange, videos. And like, you plug some channels today, some YouTube channels, and I'm sure some of these guys are going to check them out. So it's fun to do that. I like that about the movie reviews. And it's because it's hard for, with the attention span of the current year. Like, this is why I love the film review stuff. I've been doing it for a few years or a couple years now, and I don't like to. Just to sit and watch a whole entire film or series or movie or show. It's kind of hard to do in the current year. Like, I need like a reason to do it, almost, unless it's something that's a lot of buzz, in the air about it. Or, it's hard. I haven't been to a movie theater in like 6 years, but I love films.
I'm very conscientious when I recommend something to anybody, and I heavily factor in what you're saying. That if I tell you to go and like read this thing and it's 8 pages, I really think that it's vital. Like, seriously think it's important. I would never just suggest, because I understand people all have fucking brain damage, brain rot. Even the best of us, even myself and you and probably Western, and like, who doesn't? You
Oh,
know
I
what I
can't I
mean?
can't read a book right now. I'd need a gun to my head to even try.
Yeah, like, it's tough for sure. It's fucking like, and you can rehab it, but like most people, if you just ask them to, like, on a whim, it would be like a big ask. So if you like, if Thomas or Western said read this book and it was like 300 pages, like, I'll fucking do it. And yeah, it's like a respect thing. It's like, if it okay, man, if you tell me to, then I know you wouldn't just throw something at me that's high investment for, like, when it's you don't feel that it's like very important. So,
All
but
right.
to just do it for no reason, yeah, you have to have a reason nowadays to even watch like a 2 hour film. It's harder and harder to justify.
Well, and the older you get, guys, I'm older than both you guys, and the older you get, I used to be the young buck who used to like be a young kid, and I'd be at my grandpa's house, and he'd be watching some black and white military show or movie or documentary, and it's like here I'm thinking like, let's watch something fun and new and fresh and brand new, just released, and he would always watch these old shows, and one time, a couple of times, me and my brother and my dad, we would bring a newer film, but it was military. So then he would kind of be able to consume it still.
Yeah,
But
I,
the thing
my,
is, guys, is that I'm older now and I kind of understand. I have such a more of a like I can see what my grandpa was his sentiment and how he thought about this stuff. And like as I've gotten older, I don't want to watch new stuff. I don't want to have to watch a new movie because then I have to like pay attention. I'd rather just go watch something that like made me feel warm and fuzzy when I was younger and like bring me back to the old days and I can like re-enjoy. I don't know. That's something that I've kind of as I've gotten older, that's what's happened to me. I don't want to watch anything new anymore. I just want to go back to the old stuff. And I always wondered when I was a kid, why does my grandpa watch this shit or my dad or older relatives watch this old garbage? I want to watch something new and awesome, and you get older, you don't want to do that anymore.
yeah, I could. Right now, I'm conditioned. I've conditioned myself that I could read a book, but I couldn't watch old film like an Alfred Hitchcock film. I don't think you could, like Western said, you'd probably have to put a gun to my head to get me through like an Alfred Hitchcock film. But I think we're leaving a lot on the table by not. We usually don't dip back before like maybe the 80s. But I think a lot of the films, like in decades prior, were probably really fucking big brain and cool. But they're shot differently, and it's not something that the that my brain is like set up for at the moment. I'd have to condition it.
It's almost necessary to take a large dip backwards and just keep dipping further and further back to see when a lot of this stuff truly started being propagated. Like when did for example, I was talking with First the other day. He linked me a video about how much money some girl was making as a waiter. She was on that Caleb Hammer guy's YouTube channel that gives financial advice, and she was talking about how she makes like 5 grand a month in tips. And he's talking about how it's like a financial safety net for women. And it got me thinking about how in movies, the waiter is always this like Mary Sue type character that uh is like hard done by. She's like a single mother. She's like working hard and doing her best in a world that's oppressing her and holding her talent back. And this waiter archetype appears in like every single form of media. Movies, commercials. Anytime you see a waiter, it's always like a single mother woman. And I think that this contributes to these women getting these insane tips because it lets boomers feel, or people in general, like they're a hero. A lot of the times, if you're at the grocery store checkout and it's like, do you want to donate to UNICEF or do you want to donate to like whatever? I don't, but at the same time, I'd maybe 2%, 3%, 5% more be interested in donating if I could like see who the money was going to, right? And I'd feel like I was actually helping a person instead of lining the pockets of some like middleman organization. And I think a lot of people's charitable impulse manifests as tipping waiters, at least female waiters that are attractive.
That's a great point. Fucking A. All right,
And
we're
how long? I'm just curious. So sorry, just to wrap up that point. How far back a lot of these TV tropes that have shaped society in like detrimental ways date back? Could you find movies from like the onset of film that depict these things? Like, was it really rotten from the beginning and people just didn't notice? I wonder.
All right.
Yeah, this was really good, man. I appreciate you guys doing this. This one, I don't, not to sound sentimental, but this one felt different. Like this was easily the best one of these I've ever partaken in. Easily.
It was totally worth doing. And like, I'm just, Western Decline hit like 5 or 6 points about the fucking show. And like, I know he did like 2.5 hours, maybe only 45 minutes was really, really kind of on topic, but it doesn't matter. It was
This
fun.
this one gave me the
Western
opportunity
Decline
to.
nailed it with like 4 or 5 topic talk. Maybe I haven't read enough about the show, but he had some fresh hot takes on a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, go ahead.
This one gave me the opportunity to almost tie in like the entirety of my philosophic worldview. Like I was able to kind of shoehorn all of it into this, and I don't know. It was just this was a very
Well,
unique one for
Western
me.
Decline used the word loaded, and I think that's pretty apparent when I watched this.
Oh, there's something I forgot that I wanna tack onto this too. So in the story, there was like that character that was contacting them through the books. Okay, like there was kind of the guide that was like giving them hints and tips from like things that had been like
The
left
original
around.
material is what you're saying?
No. Like in the story, like the kids would like read books in the library and stuff, and there'd be little hints from like the owl guy or whatever. I forget his Minerva that would like
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of the times when you're in when you're being like lied to and everything, your gut, it's like a statistical, your gut kind of lines up with statistical improbability to let you know like what direction you should be taking. And I think that a lot of people like get IQ filtered by that sort of thing. You know, if you had just come out and said that, hey, I think, somebody is leaving me tips in these books here at the orphanage, they probably would have like locked you up. You know what I mean? Nobody would have believed you. But because it led with the undeniable evidence, then they were able to take that seriously after the fact. I think that that's something that is often overlooked in real life is people assume everything to be like overt and on the surface, and if it's not, then it's not there.
Good stuff, man. All right. I think that's it. Have a good night, everybody. Yeah, The Promised Neverland. We'll be back in, I don't know, a couple weeks probably. Maybe. I don't know.